Hello. I am Tony Feta. I'm taking communications through TEL Education through McMurray University and Gateway America Prep. This is my second speech. Hello. In this speech today, I'm going to be talking about my culture and how it makes me view the world. How nonverbal communication affects my cultures and how mass communication affects my culture's reputations. Hope you find a little bit out about me and my cultures in this speech. Okay, so first of all, my cultures, I am half Japanese and half technically European, but my father has adapted to American, so I'm going to say American. When it comes to culture, it definitely has impacted me and how I view the world. For example, I know for sure my culture overall that I have learned and grown up knowing is individualist. I know this because mostly in Japanese terms, when I went to school in Japan, I discovered very quickly that it was individualist because everybody was relying on their own skills and efforts to pass assignments rather than helping out others and more depending on others. Now, I don't think this is good or bad. I think this is kind of like do whatever you kind of want to do. Overall, my Japan has affected me in looking at the world as more silently like judging people rather than saying them out loud. But it's also helped me be polite to people as it's kind of a social standard there. American culture, on the other hand, is more overall loose. They don't really care what you do and are more laid back when talking to people. Will use slang, not 100% formalities all the time, and are more not as afraid about hurting the other's feelings. But even though verbal communication is essential in every culture, I would definitely say nonverbal communication is just as important, and that's my next point. First of all, in Japan, there are nonverbal communication techniques, but they're different from America, where instead of being used as like hand motions and communicating with other people, instead they're used as more signs of respect. Like for instance, in Japan, if you're apologizing or asking for something, then you might bow and like as a sign of respect and thank you to the other person. And as well as taking your shoes off before entering their home as a sign of you don't want to get the dirt from outside that's on your shoes into their home. These can be used as signs of respect for the people and recognition. However, in America, like I just said, hand motions are used more for talking and communicating, more like emphasizing what you're trying to say, kind of like what I was doing just now. Overall, my experiences with other cultures, there have been some times where I've had to like ask people to take off their shoes just as a sign of respect towards my Japanese heritage, and this is always going to be a thing that's probably in my heart because I grew up with it and that's the way I've been taught. Another important form of communication, however, is affected by mass communication. Mass communication can affect a country and the people's like representation and reputation. And so first of all, in Japan, there are pluses and minuses. For instance, there is big Japanese companies which are good, put an emphasis on being polite. However, there's also the recent trend of anime and the assumption that if you are Japanese, then you automatically are obliged to love anime and know everything about it and know every anime that you bring up, which is obviously false because, well, I'm one of those people that don't know much about a lot of anime. But however, it also has a reputation of being polite, which is good. In America, when you go to other countries, they have a reputation of more, because America is so powerful today, they're more spoiled in their wealth and more slobs and like eat a lot and are fat. But there's also the respect that goes towards you, because if you're living in America, you're probably doing well than most of the other people in this world right now. So there's kind of, both of them have their pros and cons. Again, not one is better than the other, obviously. But yeah, So overall in this speech, I talked about my culture and how it affects how I see the world, verbal communication, nonverbal communication, and mass communication and reputation of my country. I hope you have learned a little bit about my cultures and the viewpoints through a half and half Japanese American about how you view the world and what your culture is like. I hope you enjoyed the speech.